Welcome back to this Talklets conversation. We started this ministry back in June of 2019. That's 4 years ago. My daughters inspired me, encouraged me to speak a message into young men all over the world because that day was Father's Day. And so we did. And that message was well received. But I call this 4 years in, needing to kind of have a reset, if you will. I found myself having this conversation the other day, and I made the statement that if you were a fly on the wall when God is downloading into me, boy, you'd be so blessed to hear what God is saying. And I caught myself. Why you have to be a fly on the wall to hear what God is saying to me? Why am I just not giving you what He's saying? And I realized then that I've kind of bought into what everyone else is doing on YouTube. Everybody's building and trying to create. And I realized that you can't water down the Word of God. You've got to give it in season, out of season. You just got to give it. And no matter what the people say about it, they just have to receive it or discard it. It's up to them. But it's not up to me to not give you what God has given me. So I want to make sure you understand moving forward. I just want to give you what God has given me. I don't want you to be a fly on the wall. From my understanding, flies don't have ears anyway, so they can't hear. But I don't want you to be a fly. I want you to be exactly who God created you to be and to hear what God is saying to you during this season. And so that's my task. That's my mission. As a matter of fact, we started off this Talklets, and the whole mission was Talklets are a combination of short messages and short conversations covering a variety of topics. The Talklets are intentionally short in length, but lengthy in substance. And so we want to keep to that mission. Keep bringing you what God is giving us, but don't try to sugarcoat it. I don't want to water it down. I want to give it to you exactly the way He's giving it to me. So the subject for today is don't leave anything on the table. Don't leave anything on the table. When I was 10 or 12 years old, my father sat me down and he gave me one of those teachable moments. I call them teachable conversations. He told me, Donnie, don't you ever hit my daughters. Now listen to the way he said this. Don't you ever hit my daughters. He didn't say my sisters, No. He said, don't you ever hit his daughters. Of course, my ears perked up because, I've got 7 sisters and I'm the oldest brother. So they could dog pile on me. They could team up on me. And so it's like, what you mean don't hit them? They're hitting on me. I mean, sisters scratching me. I mean, what do you mean don't hit on them? I tell you, a teachable moment that went further than my father probably ever intended or meant to. It was for my sisters, but really it went through me and I've kept it with me. Something clicked inside of me. It's 7 of them, so let me win them over. Let me get them on my team because my dad he's surely on their team. And so my sisters and we have a bond. I mean, just a beautiful bond because I decided I'm not going to mess with them. No. They got the big men on their side. And so I decided to win them with honey and not vinegar. Yeah, I didn't want to be bitter. I didn't want to, look the other way and say, my dad he's just trying to protect them. He's always on their side. No. I gave in. I said, true that. I respect that. I received that. My father taught me something. He was leading by example. I never seen him hit my mother. I never seen him argue with my mother. Now, I've seen her do some things, but I've never seen my father even think of hitting my mother or arguing with her. Now, see, that's a witness of how much he loved my sisters and loved my mother. Now, I'm not saying he didn't love me, but I'm just telling you what he told me. Don't you ever put your hands on my daughter. So my wife is very blessed because of my father's teaching. When it comes to demonstrating how man should love, cherish his wife, his woman, how he should protect her, his siblings, his sisters and brothers. My father was an awesome example. My father taught me not to leave anything on the table when it comes to loving, to exhausting my love for my sisters, for my wife, for my mother. And I pray that every father is teaching their sons and their daughters how to love the opposite sex. Yes, how to protect them from themselves. That's what my father did. Now, I know we live in a different time than where we got women who are more aggressive than they've probably ever been. I get it. I get it. It's tough. But God made you men. I'm talking to you, brothers. God made you the head. And no matter what this world is doing, God's going to hold you accountable for being the head. And so if you have a family, if you have a wife, yeah, God wants to make sure that you realize that, hey, you're accountable for everything that goes on up under your roof. See, this teachable moment was boys don't hit girls. That's what my father was sharing with me. Boys don't hit girls. And so the Lord said, Donnie, love your wife and don't leave anything on the table. And I'm saying, what you mean don't leave anything? Do you remember when you first met your wife and she was, some young lady you were trying to hit on, you wanted to hook up with her? When you first met her and you began to date her, you remember those goosebumps you used to get, that giggle you always had around her? You're just uncomfortable because you were smitten by her. I mean, you were in love. You didn't want to tell her yet, but you were in love. Where did that go? I mean, who did you let steal that from you? I mean, that's what God wants us to obtain. Yeah. Once you get it, God wants you to keep that. So many of us have bought into this whole ideology of, once you married, things just kind of get, stagnant. You just kind of settle. No. You need your love popping every single day. I'm telling you, what happened? As you get older, you buy into all this, we just get meaner. We just get kind of, flustered. We get irritated. We get fussy. Well, do you have to? Or that's just something you just settle into? You see, we find ourselves growing further apart versus coming closer together. Who does that resemble? That reminds me of Lucifer being kicked out of heaven. I mean, shouldn't we be getting closer together? Should we be fighting for this? Donnie, love your wife and don't leave anything on the table. See, that's what's happening. We're leaving way too much on the table. Yeah, I should be exhausting my love for my wife. Let me ask you this question. Boys should never hit girls. When did you start hitting your wife? You heard me. No. I'm not talking about physical. That's some of you. Yeah, some of you are, but I'm not talking about physical. When did you start hitting her? Yeah. When did you start cussing at her? When did you start fussing at her? I told you, my father didn't exhibit those type of traits in my home. He just didn't. When did you start hitting her, though, mentally? When did you start hitting her and wearing her down emotionally? When did you start calling out of her name? I mean, what happened? I mean, don't you see it? I know we said sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. That's a lie. I've told you, that's a lie. Words can either build or kill. What are your words doing? See, you know what they're doing because you're using them. Your job, men, your job is to love her unconditionally, to love her through your works. Yeah. Not your words, because those are cheap, but through your works. What are you doing to show her how much you love her? Take a moment. Peek over at your wife. Don't let her see you. Just look over at her. Now, that's that same young lady that you would have killed anybody for. I mean, you would have died for her. That's that same young lady. She's all inside of that woman that you married. She's still in there. So ask yourself a couple of questions since you don't find yourself feeling the same way, since you find yourself being just a little bit aloof, since you found yourself joining up with this culture. So, she go get hers. I got mine. You know how it is. Ask yourself this question. Have you gotten the best out of your wife as a husband? Have you put in enough to where you've gotten the best out of her as her man? Or is she wasting away? Yeah, you left so much on the table. She's just wasting away. She's got so many gifts inside of her that some of the men would take her and treat her in such a way to where she flourishes. You don't want that said. Let me ask you another question as you ponder that one. Have you given your best to her as her husband? Have you really not left anything on the table? Have you exhausted yourself, your love for her? Do you ever take the time to ask her, honey, what do you need from me during this season? I mean, because, every year we get older, we change. So your wife has changed. She's not that same little girl that you met when you met her. No, she's matured. So during this season, take the time and ask her, honey, what do you need from me to make you better, to support you, to motivate you, to coach you up, to encourage you, to nurture you? I mean, what is it that I can do to bless us to come together more versus going separate ways? See, man, you're the head. You're the lead. You've always wanted to be the leader. So you are the leader. God holds you accountable. It's on you. Not waiting for her to call a family meeting. No, it's you. As you're sitting there on your pillow at night and you're trying to ease up to her, why don't you ease up to her with this intimate conversation of what does she need from you during this season? Brothers, when you look at your wife, see her as your bride still. Yes, that's your bride. You know how it was when you first seen her coming down the aisle? I mean, your face, come on, you just glowed, beaming with a smile. She all dressed up in her nines and you all dressed up. Come on, you guys, you were the star attraction. Why not stay the star attraction in your marriage? Keep it there. Your job, as you're the leader of your family, as my father led my family, he gave me all those teachable moments. Your job is to outgive your wife. Do you realize that? Your job is to outserve her. Now, I know most men, we put our feet up at the table and our wives bring our food and everything else. You think about iron our clothes, but let's flip it just for a moment. Everything that you do, everything that you are responsible for, you should be a leader in. So your job is to outgive her and to outserve her. Because let me tell you what's going to happen. It's going to be reciprocal. It's going to happen unintentionally. If you give to your wife, if you love her so much that you take care of her, you give, you outgive her, you outserve her, look what's going to happen. She's going to unintentionally start trying to outserve you and outgive you. Now see, that's a blessing because it's in her to nurture, to give anyway. But when she sees her man giving, oh, when she sees a man serving, oh, what a blessing. I told you as men, we should be leading, not bleeding our families. Yeah, stop bleeding that family. Start leading them. How can God trust you? Think about this. With a few things, if you can't trust yourself with a good thing, yes, he that findeth a wife findeth a good thing and have favor with the Lord. How can God trust you if you can't trust yourself with what he's already given you? Stop buying into this system. That bothers me. Yes. Have your own system. Have your own culture, just you and your wife. Can you love her through her weakness, through her brokenness, through her pain, through her suffering, through her emotions, through her failure? It's all in there. Nobody's perfect. You are her. But can you love her through all that? You see, we all want a perfect woman. Well, guess what? They want a perfect man. But we come together and we work out those things that we know that we don't have perfection in. But we work together. That's what God is showing with me. Yes, don't leave anything on the table. I was talking to a friend of mine the other day, and I was telling him about forgiving and forgetting. And I was telling him that God has shared something with me that it's easy to forgive. Take my word. It's easy to forgive, but it's very challenging to forget. As a matter of fact, it's like, Donnie, I'm not crazy. I can never forget what happened to me. And that always bothered me because we talk about forgiving and forgetting, and really we can't forget what happened. His sister had passed, and I was telling him what God was sharing with me for him. God says, okay, we need to forgive because sometimes we're mad at God because someone passed, or we're mad at someone else because of an accident or whatever might have happened. God says, okay, forgive. You've got to forgive them and you've got to forgive yourself. So whatever happened to you, women, if your husband did something on you, I get it. You've got to forgive him though. If you're going to live with them, you've got to forgive them. If you're going to stay with them, you have to forgive them to move forward. Husbands, you have to forgive your wives. If something happened, you've got to forgive them so that you guys can move forward as a unit. You don't need nothing dragging you, holding you back, because you can't give her your all. She can't give you her all. You're leaving way too much on the table. So here we go. Forgive whoever that was or whoever it is, and forgive yourself for not forgiving sooner, okay? And then here comes this tough part, the forget part. Yeah, this one blew me away. God says, Donnie, you're not dumb. Yes, it's not like you're going to have amnesia. You won't forget what happened, but you'll forget the pain. Father. Now, that blessed my spirit. Yes, I can forgive. That person can be forgiven. I'm not going to forget like forget. But because I forget the pain, I push it further away from me. That's it. Stop beating each other up over things that's taken place. Yes, forgive. Jesus forgives all of us. Just think about the pain he could be carrying. Think about the forgetfulness he could be carrying. But Jesus comes in and he shields us from the Father so that God don't see any of our issues. All he sees is his son, Jesus. Women, when you look at your husband, see Jesus inside of him. Men, when you look at your wife, see Jesus inside of her. Love her as Christ loved the church to the point he died for his bride. I pray that you're willing to die for your bride. I pray that you realize that you've invested so much in her. Yeah, she's worth it. Yeah, she's worth you forgiving her, forgetting for whatever it is. But more importantly, she's worth you practicing on being ready for the bridegroom to come, Jesus. See, we're all brides when you think about it. And so if you're practicing on your wife as a bride and she's practicing on you as a bride, wow, what a beautiful thing. We're ready for Christ. But most of you are thinking that you're going to get to heaven and you'll just start loving on Jesus. But you're being a booger brow down here on earth. That's not going to work. I mean, God knows what you're doing. He said, well, I don't want to be vulnerable, Donnie. I don't want to give my wife all of me. Well, who are you saving it for? She's yours. Who's she saving it for? Yes. Come on. Let's get out of playing all these games. Get out of this worldly system. Stop leaving so much on the table for someone else to enjoy if something happens to you. Exhaust your love for your wife. Exhaust your love for her. Stop settling. Yeah, people say just settle, be content. No. Give 100% and more. That's what you do in your jobs. Oh, in your jobs? Oh, please. You give your all. You exhaust yourself. You deplete yourself. As a matter of fact, you wind up retiring and you're an old man, an old woman. You just worn out, broken down because you gave them your all. My thing is, don't give no one that much of you except for your wife and your children. Give it to them. Yes, your job, yeah, I get you. Your job, don't get me wrong, it takes care of you financially. But spiritually, please, you better be taking care of your family. You better be taking care of your relationship with Jesus Christ. That's what you should be doing. Every woman needs a man like Gideon soldiers. You know, the 300 who lapped down and drunk water like a dog. Every woman, every wife needs a husband like that who will lap down, who will get in the dirt for you. Yes, who love you so much they will die for you. Oh, they'll kill for you. They'll take care of business. You need someone who will suffer for you if they had to. Someone who will sacrifice for you if they have to. Because see, every man has to sacrifice. Yes. As a man, God made us protectors, warriors, provisionaries. And so we're suffering, we're sacrificing inside because we have to be disciplined. Yeah, to live with anyone, boy, we have to be disciplined, very disciplined, because we find ourselves wanting to fight out of everything versus love our way out of everything. You want a man who's sold out to God, yes, who understand God's divine order. That's what you really want. You want someone who will love your children, yes, and put their children above themselves if need be. But we're teaching our children in these streets how to chase fortune and fame and money. That's what we've been doing. And that's not their purpose. That's not your purpose. That's not their call. Let me tell you what's happening. You see all the mass shootings, all the gangs, all the sex trafficking, all the human trafficking, all the drugs, the alcohol, the mental health issues that's up on this country. And that's all due to parents who've left way too much on the table. Yeah, your teaching hasn't been sound. As a matter of fact, you put computers and phones in front of your children and you allow that to babysit them and raise them. And you're wondering what's wrong with them. You're making statements like, oh, they're just crazy. They'll grow out of it. No, they won't. They'll grow deeper into it. Look at social media. Look at your daughters and sons on social media. Do you see what's happening on social media? Your daughters and sons on social media fighting. Yes. They're not having conversations. No. They're having confrontations because you haven't taught them. No. You didn't have those teachable moments of not leaving anything on the table. You left way too much on the table. So now they're trying to teach themselves and they're fighting amongst themselves because they haven't been taught. And so no conversation, just confrontation. So watch this. You know what confrontation turns into? It turns into collisions. And our daughters and sons are out there hitting each other. Yeah, boys don't hit girls, girls don't hit boys. No, they're hitting each other, they're abusing each other. There's so much conflict taking place that if we're not careful, we're sitting right on the top of a gender war between male and female. That's what's about to happen if we're not careful. It's already starting. It's just so much that God has in control, but we are allowing our daughters and sons to go out here and fight each other verbally. All about how many body counts do you have? How many body counts do you have? See, they want perfect relationships, but they can't be perfect. So they're trying to make their situations perfect. Yeah, I've had 20 guys. I've had 30 girls. They're trying to make those perfect situations. But we're not perfect. You know, nobody's perfect. They're using this as an excuse because you haven't taught them. You haven't taught them how to keep themselves, how special they are. No, see, you kept that to yourself. You felt they just make it because you made it. No. You were taught better than probably what they were because our parents had to pour into us. I just pray. You remember, real men don't get easily distracted. It's because they've been taught by real fathers and real mothers. Husband, love your wife as Christ loved the church. Love her to the part it hurts. To where you're courting her. Yeah, it might hurt you because you've gotten out of practice, but love her. Pull her in close. I don't know how much you love her. Yeah, quit sitting on that side of the couch and she on this side of the couch. Y'all tripping. She on that side of the bed praying, you on this side of the bed praying. Y'all tripping. Come together. Show the devil that he don't run your household. Show them you're not going to leave anything on the table. You're going to exhaust everything you have inside of you. I told you. Leaders, they don't bleed. They lead. Start leading. Jesus bled all the way to the cross. God made the statement, my beloved son in whom I am well pleased. Jesus didn't leave anything on the table. King David was a man after God's own heart. David didn't leave anything on the table. I like to say David didn't leave any meat on the bone. And you and I, wow, when we leave this earth, I pray that we hear those great words said, well done, my good and faithful servant. You didn't leave anything undone, unfinished. You didn't leave anything underappreciated. You lived hard, but you loved harder.